Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone disrespects you in public or cracks a joke that makes you feel small or embarrassed? It's tough, right? How do you handle that? And more importantly, how do you make sure that you earn respect, even from those who seem to have no interest in recognizing other people's value? In this episode, we're diving into some practical, psychological strategies to help you navigate these tricky moments with confidence. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear idea of how to gain immediate respect in any social setting and how to handle it when someone tries to publicly ridicule you. So, let's kick things off by understanding why these situations even happen. Why is it that sometimes we just don't get the respect we deserve? The psychology behind disrespect. More often than not, it's not personal. It's not about hatred or even contempt. The issue is often about opportunism. There are people who will try to climb the ladder by stepping on others. This happens everywhere, in your circle of friends, in the workplace, even in your own family. Some people will see others as tools to boost their own status. And that's where the problem lies. To avoid becoming a target in these kinds of situations, you've got to establish self-respect from the get-go. But what does that actually look like? Building self-respect. Building self-respect isn't about forcing people to treat you well. It's about setting boundaries and making sure people can't take advantage of you for their own gain. If you're in a situation where people are constantly undermining you, you might need to distance yourself from those environments. But before things get to that point, there are a few steps you can take to stop this dynamic from even starting. We'll walk through some strategies for handling moments when people try to belittle you, whether that's in your work environment, with friends, or even at family gatherings. These tips will help you maintain your dignity and earn the respect you deserve, no matter who's around. Before we get into those strategies, if you've been enjoying this type of content, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the Hazato channel so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. Now, let's jump right into our first tip. Tip number 1, first impressions matter. Let's talk about first impressions. You've probably heard the phrase, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that couldn't be more true, especially when it comes to earning respect. So, here's the deal. When you meet someone for the first time, always stand up to shake their hand. It may sound simple, but it's crucial. When you stay seated, you're already at a disadvantage. The other person is literally looking down at you, which can create a perception of submission. You never want to come across as passive, right? Another common mistake? Looking at their hand when you're introducing yourself. It might seem like a small thing, but if your focus is on their hand instead of their face, your head naturally tilts downward. This makes it appear like you're not confident, which sends the wrong message. So, the next time someone approaches you for a greeting, make it a point to stand up, smile, and lock eyes with them as you shake hands. This will immediately set the tone for a respectful interaction and show that you're someone who values themselves. Tip number 2, how to handle interruptions. Now, let's say you're having a conversation and someone interrupts you, especially in a public setting. It can be frustrating, right? But don't let it rattle you. The best way to handle this is with a simple, firm look. Just make eye contact and let that person feel the weight of the message. I was speaking and I deserve to be heard. This might sound subtle, but it works. When you lock eyes and show that you're not going to tolerate being interrupted, the person will likely realize their mistake. At that point, you can politely ask, "Can I continue?" Or, "Can I pick up where I left off?" This technique sends a clear message that their interruption was disrespectful, but you're not getting aggressive. It's about setting boundaries, calmly asserting yourself, and letting them know that you expect respect. Often, this look is all it takes to stop them in their tracks. It's not about getting confrontational, it's about maintaining your composure. And trust me, when you hold eye contact with a calm demeanor, the other person will understand that it's time to back off. Tip number 3, handling jokes and humiliation. Okay, let's talk about how to deal with those uncomfortable moments when someone tries to humiliate you with a joke, especially in a group of friends. It's never fun to be the punchline, but you can handle it with grace and even flip the situation on its head. First things first, don't react right away. Instead of laughing nervously or showing that it bothered you, act like you didn't hear the joke at all. This throws the person off balance because they were expecting a reaction. Then, calmly turn to them and ask, "Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention. Could you repeat that? By doing this, you're sending a clear message. Their joke didn't affect you, and now they're in the hot seat. Making someone repeat their joke can be awkward, especially when it's not as funny the second time around. You're not only diffusing the situation, but you're also making the person who tried to put you down feel a little uncomfortable. It's a simple move, but trust me, it works wonders. You don't just avoid feeling awkward. You turn the tables and make the other person feel embarrassed. And remember, jokes rarely land the same way when they're repeated. So next time, use this strategy to reclaim the power in the room. Tip number 4, responding to provocation. Now, let's move on to a technique for when someone is trying to provoke you or get under your skin. This can be tough, especially when people are purposely trying to get a rise out of you. But here's a little trick to throw them off. Respond with a completely random question or comment that has nothing to do with the conversation at hand. For example, if someone is trying to provoke you, you could casually ask, "Do you know any good places to get coffee around here?" Or maybe something like, "I think I wore too much perfume today, don't you think?" The key is to make it sound natural, as if you're just casually bringing it up. This technique interrupts their flow and forces them to lose track of their attempt to provoke you. It's like hitting the reset button on the conversation. You'll completely shift the focus, and the person trying to get to you won't know what hit them. It's subtle, but it works. Instead of reacting in the way they expect, you'll leave them scrambling, and you'll keep your composure intact. Now, let's keep going. Now that you've got these 2 powerful techniques in your back pocket, stay tuned for the next tip, where we'll dive into how to deal with more intense situations where someone really pushes your buttons. So, make sure you stick around. You won't want to miss it. Tip number 5, walking away. All right, we've covered a lot of ground so far, but here's the final tip that can make all the difference: walking away. It's powerful, and sometimes it's the best way to handle disrespect. Here's the thing: while no one is obligated to respect you, you're not required to put up with being disrespected either. If you find yourself in a situation where someone is consistently disrespecting you and showing no intention of changing, then it might be time to just walk away. Now, walking away doesn't mean you're admitting defeat. In fact, it's the opposite. It's a statement that says, "I value myself too much to stick around for this." It's not about making a scene or proving a point, but rather showing that you'd rather be absent and appreciated than present and devalued. It's all about maintaining your dignity. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for yourself is to simply remove yourself from a toxic situation. Walking away sends a clear message. You won't tolerate being treated badly, and you know your worth. Your turn. Share your experience. Before we wrap up, we want to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself in one of these situations? How did you handle it? Did you stand your ground, or did you walk away? Drop a comment below and let us know how you reacted, and share your thoughts on the tips we've covered today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.